Okay, welcome to her Empire Builder show, the fabulous Kajabi expert, Meg Burrage.
Hello, Tina. Thank
I'm
you so
like
much for having me
Kajabi
on.
expert, Meg Burrage. I didn't enunciate my words properly.
It's funny, isn't it? It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this job. I'm like, expert? I don't know. Would you call me an expert? I'm sure there's still things I don't know.
Oh, always, always. But you actually, like I would think I know my way around Kajabi pretty well. And you ran a session last week inside her Empire Builder, and there was like three things that I was like, I didn't know you could do that. That's amazing. So I think everyone picks up their own little things, and it's not unless we talk to each other that we realize, oh, we can do that too, and we can do that too. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, actually, I'm recording a series, and I don't normally these days do a lot of like done for you type Kajabi work.
Yeah.
So have in my mind how it used to be a couple of years ago, and I
Yes.
got in there to record this series, and I was like, oh, didn't know it did that. Oh, this is fancy features.
Yes.
But Kajabi just evolves so quickly that
It does.
you feel like you just blink, and all of a sudden the landscape's completely changed.
Yes, I have been caught a couple of times when I go in to demonstrate for people on different things, and I go to click the button and it's no longer there, and I go, oh, hang on, nope, over this side.
Yeah, I 100% get it. But yes, I love the Kajabi tool. And for anyone who's thinking, what the heck even is Kajabi? Should we tell them, Tina?
We should tell them, but I think most listeners of my show will know, but we can tell them.
Just in case they're like, these guys have gone off on a tangent. What the heck are they talking
Yes.
about? But for anyone who is listening to us, Kajabi is like an awesome replacement for any other web platform that you might be using if you are a course creator, a coach, a membership builder. So it's a learning management platform that will help you to house your content and charge people for your content and build your website and send your emails and like all the things.
Yeah. And Meg, how long have you been playing on Kajabi for?
Since 2019, the beginning of 2019.
Nice. And what led you to get started with your journey with it? Were you a web developer in other software first?
No. No, before Kajabi, I was working as a management consultant in oil and gas, which was the
Wow.
world's most boring job ever. And I had maternity leave coming up. So I
Yeah.
was like about 6 months pregnant. And I thought, what can I create as a business while I'm on maternity leave that means I won't have to go back to this super boring job?
Yeah.
And I've been dabbling with Kajabi as part of a program I was in and thought, I reckon I could do this Kajabi thing for a living. Like it's pretty fun and lots of people seem to need help with it. So I'll just offer this as a service. And there was just crazy demand for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, you started like just we started the beginning of end of 2017, start of
Mhm.
2018, I think was when I made my first dollar um on there. So yeah, like the same era there. And it was like we've seen a lot in the last 5 years. Like the changes have been huge, both to the platform and the course creator landscape as a whole.
Mm.
What have been like the biggest changes that you've seen to course creators?
Mm. I think, you know, COVID time was crazy,
Yeah,
right? Like things were just exploding. And I feel like a lot of people who were in the space in that time made a lot of sales very easily
yeah,
because
totally.
everyone was coming online.
Yeah,
And they maybe, like in a lot of instances, I think people got a bit complacent. So
yeah,
now COVID's kind of gone and the world's gone back to normality. And a lot of people have seen like their sales dropping off because I think they're not very good at, pivoting or adjusting their offers. They got so comfortable during COVID of things just
yeah.
going gangbusters that when things just went back to normal, they were like, oh, I don't really know how to make this work anymore.
Yes. I don't think it's complacency as much as people thought it was normal. So a lot
Yeah.
of people that came in were like, "Oh, this is what we do and this is how it works." And then when that boom kind of stopped, people were like, "Oh, what? What do we have to do now? Like that's too hard." And of course, a lot of the rhetoric inside the course industry is passive income and it's so easy to make money in 2 minutes a day.
Yeah, I know, right? And nowadays, I think even more than ever, I think personal attention is the new
Yes.
currency. It's like
Yes.
selling things on just passive, evergreen, DIY it
Yeah.
yourself. People don't want to pay big bucks for that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
They want their
totally.
handheld, they want people to do it for them, they
Yeah.
want, one-on-one coaching. And there's still amazing ways out there that you can be generating great revenue in this business. But I think you have to sort of listen to the landscape,
Yeah.
and to what people are asking them for, and then give them that.
Totally. And I think, like, I know across our members as well, like the hybrid programs are the ones that we're seeing the most successful, that are supported by online components, but also have live elements in there where people are showing up and they're communicating with their clients and they're giving that extra layer of love and care in there as well.
Yeah. And if you can couple it with something like in-person, in real life events, then
Yeah.
amazing, right? Like, I know your
Uh-huh.
retreats are amazing. And, if
I
you're
go
in a
all
position,
out for ours.
oh my goodness, one day I'm going to come to one, Tina.
Yeah.
But, if people are in a position to have in-person events, that
Yes.
just, that's huge right now, because people are just
Yeah.
craving that, like, oh, give me something that's off of Zoom.
Yes, totally. And you work with, like, now you don't create people's Kajabi sites. So talk to us about how has your business model evolved over the past 5 years?
And actually now we do create people's Kajabi
Yeah.
sites. So, we've sort of done a 180 on that. But I
Yeah.
started off back in 2019 building Kajabi sites. Then I started like one-on-one coaching with people who wanted to sort of learn it and have it done for them.
Mhm.
Then I decided, look, it's about time I created my own online course. So I created a program and a whole lot of group coaching around teaching people Kajabi. It was like a 12-week program. And then I introduced templates, which was great because, people are happy to pay for a shortcut. So we
Yes.
brought out a
My
range of
favorite
templates.
thing with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we decided to make our move from the Netherlands back to Australia this year. And I just knew that group coaching with all my American clients was going to be basically impossible, because I do not like being on calls after dinner time. Like, once I switch off my laptop at the end of the day, I feel resentment brewing if I have to
Yeah.
switch my computer back on. And I hate that feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought,
And that's
how
the
can
point of
I
being self-employed, is that we can craft something that works for us.
Absolutely. And I thought, what am I going to craft going forward that isn't going to fill me with resentment,
Yeah.
people? I think we should go back to like done for you services. People would love to have it done for them. They're happy to pay for it. We have, so many years of experience doing it now that we can create things for people that actually work, and we can do it in our own time.
Yeah.
So the done for you stuff has made a big resurgence inside of my business. And then we've added on our collaboration station arm of the business, helping people to find online collaborations to launch their programs. And we're just working on a template shop for that. So templates that are specific to collaborating, like summits and podcasts and
Yeah,
that sort of stuff.
fantastic. Fantastic. And so with all the sites that you build, what are the commonalities that you think that you see people that become successful have at the beginning?
I think the ones that I see get a lot of traction
Yeah.
are the ones who don't overcomplicate things.
Right.
They don't offer like a gazillion things, and confuse their audience with where they should start. It's the people who have just laser focused on like one core offer and a way to get that core offer, and just kept it like super simple.
Yeah.
I think there's a definite trend around people who just like become like prolific creators, and it just takes them forever to bring things to market. They delay themselves, and then they bring all these things to market, and people are like, oh, I don't know where to start. Like,
Yeah.
which offer do I go for? So I think keeping it simple is definitely a big one. But also, it's weird, but I quite like working with my male clients, because they just get on with it. Like, the women are so good at like being perfectionists, and it's got to
Mm.
be perfect before I start. I want to have all the training created perfectly before I sell this thing. And the guys are more like, let's just give it a go.
Just
Let's
send
just
it.
put it out
Yeah.
there and see who buys.
Yeah. Do you think it's perfectionism, or do you think it's like the fear of showing up, or both?
I think it's a combination, right? Because they're like, people are going to judge me, so it's got to be
Yeah.
perfect. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
I'm worried to put myself out there and all my peers are gonna see it, and it's got to be like absolutely amazing. Like it's got to be Tina Tower standards, you know, and it's like, well, no one
Don't say
starts
that. The
like
thing is,
that.
like, when I went through my website the other day, there's so many things wrong. That's the thing that I like to say to people at the start is going, we pay attention to things, and I have a certain level of excellence that I want. When I say this thing's wrong, there's nothing crappy on there. Like there's a high standard, but there's things that have not been updated in a really long time that need desperate attention to that. That if you were looking at it through my eyes, it's like horrifying, but nobody else would really know that. And so often I will talk to people in going, like, your website is going to be brand shiny new at the start, but then you're going to start making money and you're going to get all that traction. You've got to remember it's never over. Like, it's not like a website reaches its finish line and is done. It is never finished. A good website will be changed all the time. Do you see that people will often put a lot of effort into the startup but then forget the maintenance?
Oh, so much. I mean, even in
Yeah.
my own, every now and again, I'll get on my
Right.
website and be like, oh, I forgot to switch off that exit pop that's promoting that workshop I did last month. You
Mhm.
know, it's like remembering to come back and do things,
Yes.
especially on your homepage. You know, like we're in a launch right now. I haven't even put it on my website. You know, I spend all
Oh,
this effort
Meg.
going, no. It should be like in the announcement bar at the top. And
Yes,
I'm
it
like, oh,
should.
well, oh
Please do
well.
that as soon as we get off this call.
But I get so caught up with sending the emails to the list and
Yes.
prepping the Facebook ads, and I'm just like the actual website of mine. I very very rarely come back to it. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then about once a year, I get so tired with the design of my website, and I'm like, let's just throw it all out and start again.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't do that though. I have 400 pages on my website. So it's one thing by one thing. I changed the logo 2 years ago, and that was one page at a time having to upload it. And I was like, no, on that again.
I know. I'd love to be somebody who can just like stick with one thing and not get bored, And
Yeah.
I often
You got to
see
keep
like
it fresh though. That's part of the
you
fun
gotta
of
keep
it.
it fresh. I'm like, yeah, sometimes you just feel like it doesn't reflect you anymore. It's like, oh,
Yes.
this just doesn't feel like me. I want to do something different.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
So
absolutely. And I think people need to just not spend a whole lot of time on their website, because much more important is like the funnel that's going to get people into your program.
yes.
You don't even really need the website part, but you've got
Yeah.
to have a way to like collect the email addresses,
Yeah.
send the emails, promote your webinar, have the sales page. The homepage and the about page are kind of like nice to have.
Yes. The about page is actually the page I looked at the other day and went, there's some photos there still from 2019.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
people do love that stuff, right? Once they start to stalk you online, they're like, oh, let me go and dig into the about page and read all about this person. So it's great to
yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
But,
Whenever we
it's
look at
sort
the
of,
analytics, I'm like, I really need to update those pages. Yes.
I'm off to look at your about page straight after this, Tina.
No. Hopefully by the time this episode airs, I fixed it. But what do you think, with everyone so busy, when you do like a monthly check of your website, is there normal maintenance? What do you think is the main thing, the most important thing for people to keep up to date all the time?
I think it's mostly, links,
Yeah.
making sure that you're not promoting things that are now going to like 404 pages
Yeah.
because you set them to draft or decided to do something else. Often when I'm working with clients, sales pages will have countdown clocks on them where the countdown clock expired, but the page is still up. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that early bird ended like 3 months ago, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you should remove that bit.
Yes.
But I think if you could easily, I think, put together a checklist, couldn't you?
Mm.
Like things that you should check on your website each month.
Every month.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and
We
I
have
think
our list.
countdown. Yep,
Yeah.
countdown clocks, links, making sure that offers and things are not expired, coupons. One of the things actually that I've noticed, and thanks for reminding me, but I keep seeing like pop up in my inbox people redeeming something that I was giving away for free like 6 months ago. And I
Yes.
kind of thought I got rid of that freebie like everywhere, but obviously
Yes.
people are still finding it somewhere, and it's worth
Yes.
like $200. And every time I see it pop up in my inbox, I'm like, I need to go and switch off that coupon code so that it doesn't work anymore. I keep
Yes.
forgetting.
I totally understand that. Yes. When we did our last launch, we had someone in pre-launch, like 3 weeks before doors opened, that joined and we could not figure out how.
Uh,
Everything was set to waitlist, everything was there. And then I'd asked her how she joined. I'm like, it's totally fine that you're here. Welcome. How did you get the link to be able to get into that? She's like, I don't know. I was clicking many things and I looked at all her history and she downloaded like 8 different lead magnets, opted into all the trainings, all everything. Like, we could not find how. Must have been an old link somewhere going somewhere.
it's something else that happens quite often now is someone will just like put my name into Google and Google will serve them up a whole lot of pages that are now
Yeah.
like no longer relevant.
Yes.
So, pages that I've accidentally left as published
Yeah.
and I've left on the little toggle that allows Google to go and search it.
Yes.
And it will, every now and again, randomly someone joins something that you don't even own, like you don't even run it anymore. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, holy
Yes.
cow, I'm going to have to
There's a
refund
nice
this
reminder
person and
for everyone
apologize.
to go into your page settings and go down to SEO settings and turn it off if you no longer want it to be shown in search engines. And if you do, to update that section, because I see so many people that don't update that section on all of their pages too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
100% patches us all out. So,
Yeah.
guys, if you're listening to this and you're like, that's happened to me, don't worry. You're not alone.
Yeah. So talk to me about the difference between using templates and building a Kajabi site from scratch.
And, for us, templates came about because we were building from scratch.
Yeah.
We were working with clients and we'd be reinventing the wheel over and over again. And the thing is, like most people, same sections on their pages. It's going to look different, but most people want to talk about their podcast or like promote their 3 main offers, and it was just not time efficient to be
Mm.
starting from scratch when the structure for most of these websites was pretty much the same. And we just said, look, we should just create internally 3 or 4 templates and ask our clients to just pick one as a starting point. And so we started with that, and then somebody caught wind of it and said, can you sell it to me? And it was like, oh yeah, why not, let's create a template store. And before we knew it, that became like one of our biggest streams of revenue. But I think so much can be done with templates that often people will reach out to me and say, which of your designs would you recommend for like XYZ?
Yeah.
And I say to them, like, don't, when you're looking at comparing my templates, don't look too much at the branding of it.
Yes.
Look at the structure, look at the way that we've put the blocks, and just see, like, can you imagine putting your content into those blocks? Because once you apply your own photos and your own colors and your own fonts,
Completely
like it's
different.
completely different. Every now and again, someone will jump into the Kajabi group and tag me and say, oh, I got a template from Meg Burrage and I've just created the most amazing sales page. And I'll be like, oh, I'd love to see it. Can you put a link? And they might put the link and we look at it and we're like, oh, that's horrible. And we think, was that from one of our templates? Like, it's so unrecognizable. Sometimes they do a great job with it. And sometimes, design's not your thing. They can turn it into something
Yeah.
where you're like, holy smokes, did that even start as our template? I
Yeah.
hope not.
And what do you think makes it horrible? Do you think the branding colors or putting too much content on? What are the elements that you look at and you go, it's not how the template was supposed to be?
Yes, that's right. It's usually 3 things I see mostly. It's either the colors have been put together that are just like, ugh, like
Yes.
that, that palette's just gross. You're
Yes.
like, what made you think that those colors worked? And there's many resources you can go to, guys, where,
Yes.
you could put in a color that you love and it will give you back
Yes.
complementary colors to work with. Like, here's
Yes.
a suggested palette.
I
Sometimes
will
people
link
just
to a tool in the show notes.
oh, that'd be great. So, yeah, firstly, the colors. Second, and I get it that this is a limitation for people that's hard to get past sometimes, but the photos, like your own images on the site, it's just so worthwhile getting some branded photos, a photo shoot done. And if
Mhm.
you have financial limitations that make that not possible, even just getting someone who is good on a smartphone, like, can take great photos, but it is difficult to build a nice website, nice sales page with horrible photos, and
100%. Yes.
ah. And then I think the third thing is just it's more of like I'm just now it's me being the perfectionist, but attention to detail on things like you line up three images and the images are not the same dimensions,
Yes.
and then everything's out of alignment.
That
And you're
is
like,
my
God,
bugbear. I don't think that's perfectionism. I think that's just neat. It's the same with like not having top aligned and they're all
and they're
higgledy-piggledy.
all
I
over the
can't
place.
handle
You're like,
that
guys,
either.
you can't do it like that,
Yes.
So yes, they're the three that I would see the most often.
Yes. Yeah, they're good ones for people to be aware of. And so the opposite would be true. The ones that you see use your templates and different things, and you're like, that looks good. They have beautiful branding, clear, concise, clean. They've got their photos all done. It all makes sense and it's all neat.
Absolutely. We had someone the other day send us her website built on our Quirk and Squiggle template.
Yeah.
And Quirk and Squiggle has never been a good seller for us. Like we branded it craft, and I think a lot of people who were not craft could not see past the fact that it had all these craft photos in it. So
Yes.
they didn't have the vision for it that I had when, I was like, just put in photos of guitars or like just put in photos of whatever. They couldn't see it. And so when this lady sent us her website and showed us what she'd done with it, I was like, that's amazing. And it's so good that I went back to her and said, would you mind if we like rebrand our Quirk and Squiggle in line with your website?
Yeah,
And so
nice.
that process is happening right now in the background where we're completely changing out. It's still the same structure, but it'll be different images and a completely different color palette. And it's
Yeah,
very
nice.
exciting because it looks amazing. You'll
That's
like it
good.
actually.
And you
It's a
do have a
good color
Tina
scheme.
template also.
We do have a Tina template, which everybody loves. It's
Oh,
just
good.
it's the energy, right, of your website.
Yeah.
And similar for anyone who's listening, that came about because I was on Tina's website and I was just like, this website is so cool. We should collaborate and create like a Tina template that is just
Yeah.
modeled off your website.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
Which was
Tina
one
said
of the
yes.
most exciting things to have happened to me. To go, can we make a template out of you? And I was like, there was the Amy template and then the Tina template. And I was like, yes, that's exciting. Yes.
I'm so glad that we made your day on that one. But
Yeah.
it has been a wonderful template. We love working with it because it's just fun. It just brings so much energy and
And it
fun.
makes people like it does what you said before, it saves people so much time. Like I recommend your templates all the time because I think that not only is it, saving time and going, how do I create that block? Where do I go there? But also the suggestion of, this type of text here, and then this type of text here, and this much, the dot points over here. Like it just takes away a bit of that blank screen. Where do I start feeling?
Absolutely. No, I agree. I think templates are a big time saver for people. And, if you're going to get a custom site done, like easily you're going to spend $4,000 to $5,000, depending on how many pages you're going to want on your website.
Yeah.
I think if you can find a template out there, it doesn't have to be mine, but if you can find a template out there, it's amazing how different you can make it with
Yeah.
your own branding applied, and the time saving is huge.
Yeah, totally. So I want to ask you about life as well, because it's one of the main reasons I wanted you on the podcast. Because I'm like, I love people that live like a life less ordinary. And one of the things that I think is the greatest thing about running our own businesses is that we have location freedom. And I think that sometimes we can forget that being self-employed means we can go anywhere, whenever we want, and do whatever we want, whenever we want. And we fall into the trap of like having a traditional job, even though we don't have one. So that's what I want to ask you about. When did you leave Australia? And welcome back. You've just got back to Australia. But can you talk to us about how that trip came about and what your travels were like?
Yeah, sure. So back in 2019 was when I got on into the online space, and I'd sort of been 3 months in and our second child was born. And so we were just running the business from home, and I had an assistant who was also a nanny. And, between the two of us, we were juggling the baby and cooking dinner and feeding the cat and
Wow.
building Kajabi websites, and it was all great. And then 9 months later, I realized I was pregnant again. So I was like, holy heck, I'm about to have like two under two. What are we going to do about this? So I had by that stage an actual full-time nanny helping me along with my assistant. So our household was just run by women. Husband
Yeah.
would go off to work and the three of us would sort everything
Oh, I
out.
love that.
It was lots of fun. But my nanny, lovely French lady, her Australia work visa was up. And so she was having to leave the country. and COVID had just like hit. And we were like, okay, well, we'd planned at some point to go to the Netherlands and, just be closer to my husband's family because he's Dutch. And also, when he became Australian, he lost his Dutch citizenship. So he was going to have to live in the Netherlands for a year to get it back. And so we were like, well, maybe we should just go now. Like, Australia's going into this COVID lockdown. We should just like get out of here. And
Yeah.
we applied to the government for
And
the
they didn't go
exemption.
into lockdown in the Netherlands?
There was a lockdown. It was pretty horrible, actually. Like, we got there in December of 2020. Great flight. Had the plane to ourselves. Was amazing.
Yeah, that would have
Um,
been weird.
yeah, it was weird. It was even better that we were in first class. We used our points to buy like first class tickets to the Netherlands and had like the whole plane to us.
Yeah.
That was great. But yeah, we got over there, and about 2 weeks after arriving, the Netherlands went into lockdown. So mid-December until April. And everything was shut. It was like the kids could go to school, but all restaurants, playgrounds, like it was winter, so you couldn't do an outside playground. So it was like inside playgrounds, restaurants, shops, everything closed. And it was so boring, like trying to entertain kids in the middle of
Yeah,
winter
little
with
ones.
everything shut, living in an apartment. We were going a bit crazy. But on the pros side, we did have his mum and we had his brother, and our nanny, our French nanny, who had to leave Australia, came with us to the Netherlands
Oh,
and has been,
nice.
yeah, so she was with us like a further 3 years.
Yeah.
And so we went to the Netherlands with a 2-year plan. And after the first winter, I think it was the first winter, yeah, after the first winter, we were like, we can't do another winter here. Where else could we go? Let's go and try living in the Caribbean. We'll just tick that
The
off our list.
opposite of doing a European winter.
Yes, that's right. We're like, where else can we go that's on the same calendar year, school calendar? So we went over to Anguilla in the Caribbean, and my husband had grown up in the Caribbean, so he like knew what we
Okay,
were in
cool.
for. And I was like, yeah, I'm willing to give it a go. So we went over there initially for 5 months, and actually, well, in the beginning, Tina, it was great. Like, we spent the first 6 weeks thinking, why would you live anywhere else? Like, I'm just having cocktails at my desk at 3 o'clock, and then I'm going to the beach for a sunset swim, and life was so good. We put in an offer on a house. Thank goodness they said no. And we were like, yeah, we're going to live here forever. But about the 8-week mark, just the novelty of being on an island where all there was to do was go to the beach just wore off. Like,
Oh,
okay, there is like,
interesting.
yes, and it was a really fancy island. So anytime you went out, it cost you a fortune. There was all like high-end restaurants and things. Like, you couldn't just go out for a cheap burger. Like, to take our family of 5 out was like easily $200. We were like, okay, this is getting very expensive and also getting very boring. Every weekend you'd look at the kids and be like, which beach will we go to? Like, I don't want to go to the beach. It's like, well, that's all there is to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this beach or this beach. So we actually changed our flights to come back to the Netherlands a month early after 4 months, and cancelled our lease. And the Netherlands looked pretty good after that. We're like, oh, the Netherlands and its cold weather is not so bad. At least there's a lot of things to keep kids occupied.
I love that because I mean, I don't love for you that it didn't turn out how you wanted it to, but I love that. I mean, to everyone, I think, well, to a lot of people, I think living on a Caribbean island would sound so ideal that
Mm,
I'm always interested when what we imagine is very different to that. And so for you, it was
mm.
it was the boredom of it.
Was the boredom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an office like I had in the Netherlands. I was just working from home and not being able to, separate work and
Yeah.
life, like work and home life. But yeah, just boredom really.
Yeah.
And
Because I'm pretty sure I could live on an island.
could your kids do it though?
Well, my kids are grown.
Mm,
So
hmm.
so different. Right now at 15 and 16, no, they wouldn't live on an island. Unless there was surf, then they would. Surf and a
Awesome.
golf course, they would be there. But other than that, no. but I would.
An amazing golf course. I put my 9-year-old into golf lessons at the
Yeah.
golf club, but sadly that's not the sport for him.
No.
So he didn't love it, but I enjoyed sitting in the clubhouse, drinking my champagne while he was playing
Yeah.
golf once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than the golf course, there was nothing.
Oh, fun.
And the Netherlands did look pretty good afterwards. But for
Yeah.
sure, like things often just sound so amazing, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful to have this freedom and flexibility, but it's not always glamorous.
Yeah.
And we just moved back this year, and we shipped our sea container and arrived in Australia with like just what was in our suitcases. So the first 6 weeks here, we've just been sleeping on air mattresses in an old rental that we found because the rental market's horrible here.
Yeah.
Definitely we've got a lot of freedom and flexibility, but it's not always what you see on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice that like you don't feel now that the grass is greener on the other side. Like you've tried all the sides. And so you can now go, this is what makes me happy for this chapter of my life.
Absolutely. All I need now, Tina, are some friends. Like I feel like we were out of the country for quite a few years, and I'm not very good at keeping in contact with people. So now that I'm back, worlds just evolve, right? Lives
Yeah.
evolve. And I'm like, oh, I sort of need to find like a new group of
Yeah.
entrepreneurial people who are on my
Yes.
wavelength. I don't
I
know where
mean,
to
that's
start with that. Have you
always,
got
I
some
think, the
members over here?
easiest. Yes, yes, I do. I'll hook you up. But I always think business is such a gateway to making friends. Like it has opened so many doors for me in terms of, I mean, this is my 20th year in business, so I've been going for a long time. But I'm just like running through my head now, going, I think pretty much nearly every one of my great friends, like if I think my best 10 friends, they've all got businesses.
Yeah. And I
All,
don't I don't actually really have anyone over here
oh, we're
who
gonna get you out networking, Meg.
yes, please can you do that? Because I've
Yeah, you
started to
need to
look at
go
the
to a couple
networking groups
conferences,
online.
go to some
All the
retreats.
networking groups I found are sort of people with local businesses. And I'm like, oh, I'm
Oh,
looking
no.
for some people on my, doing sort of similar stuff that we can
Yeah,
talk about.
for sure. Yeah, we'll talk about that after. We'll get you some
Okay,
great
thanks,
tips,
Amy.
Meg. Kajabi using wonderful course creator friends. I know many. So my final question, now that you're back, what does a successful life and business look like to you?
Well, now that I'm back, it's like the first time since I started this business where I actually have to parent. And we've come back without our nanny, and I am finally understanding what it means to run a business in school hours. So
Mm,
I can't say I have nailed that yet, but that is what I see as success. It's like, okay, if I can actually run my business without being super stressed, get it all done in the space of 5 hours a day, and I'm such a workaholic that will easily sit at my desk for nine
mm,
hours, without doing anything. I'm like, no, this year it's got to be the
school
same
hours, yeah.
revenue with half the time. And if I
Yeah.
can do that, then I've made it.
Yes. Do you know, I often think I wish I was as productive as when I had small children, because I would fit it into those school hours. I would stop as soon as they got home at 3 o'clock, and then I fit everything in. But now that I have the luxury of more time, I don't think I don't take longer to do things. I just do more things. And so I will give myself liberty with more ideas and more experimentation. Whereas before it was like, it's results or nothing. I got no time for anything else, which has its positives and negatives.
I've been in the position you're in now for the last 3 years where I've had
Yeah.
a full-time nanny and a husband not at work. So, I could leave and go to the office at 9 and come home at 6 in time for dinner and pack so many new ideas and projects into my day. And
Yeah.
now I find I'm like still trying to do that in a
Yes.
5 hour window. And
Yes.
after school, I'm picking up kids and it's dance club and it's horse riding and it's like Minecraft school and like all the things. And I'm just like, okay, I'm giving myself a breakdown. I need
Yeah.
to learn how to like curb my enthusiasm for all these new projects
Yeah.
and get a bit more realistic with what's
One at a
achievable.
time. Yes. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying right now, because there's so many of our listeners that will have young children that are fitting it in between school hours, that have second jobs, that have other bricks and mortar businesses, and they're running online on the side. Like there's so many things that people are trying to fit into one. And I do know that sometimes we can forget, like there's enough time. It can happen
Mm.
later. We don't need everything right
Patience is
now.
not my strong point, Tina. I'm
I
like, I
know,
have
me
an
neither.
idea and it's I want this rolled out in 2 weeks.
Yes, I totally understand and I relate, but it's a learned skill that I have worked on a lot.
Oh.
I get it. I get it. Okay. Where can people find you, Meg?
Well, I'm not very good on Instagram, so don't go there. Maybe my website is probably a simple spot to start.
Yes.
So just
I will link to
megburrage.com.
one of Meg's lead magnets in the notes below so that you can find her and get some freebies in there as well.
Oh, that's a good plan. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tina. Thank you so much for having me in. I had lots of fun.
Thanks, Meg.